Instant pot rice pilaf is a fast and flavorful side dish made with mushrooms, onions, and rice that's cooked to perfection. Hi mindful moms and dads, Kristen here. As someone who suffers from a chronic disease, I believe homemade is best, but it doesn't need to be complicated. Today, I'm going to share with you a recipe from my childhood that was a favorite. My mom's recipe for rice pilaf. Now, my mom always made rice pilaf when she was cooking steaks or a fancy dinner. So at my house, we associated rice pilaf with something fancy. The truth is, it couldn't be easier to make, especially when we use our Instant Pot. So I've adapted my mom's stovetop recipe to make it Instant Pot friendly, and boy, does it come together fast and make the most delicious rice pilaf. So let's put on our kitchen capes and make Instant Pot rice pilaf. The first thing we're gonna do is turn our Instant Pot to saute. I'm adding in 2 tablespoons of butter to my inner pot here, and we're gonna let that butter melt. Butter is going to give this rice pilaf so much richness, but if you're dairy-free, you certainly can use a non-dairy butter or olive oil. Now that my butter is melted, I'm going to add in about 1/2 cup or 1 small minced onion, and then we're just gonna saute our onion until it begins to soften. We don't want our onion to fully soften because we're gonna add mushrooms here in just a little bit. My onions are starting to look soft and it's smelling really great in here, so it's time to add some mushrooms. You can certainly omit mushrooms if you have picky eaters, but mushrooms will add a lot of earthiness to the rice pilaf, and it's what my mom did, so it's what I'm doing today. I have 6 ounces of baby portobello mushrooms here. You can certainly use button mushrooms or shiitake mushrooms, whatever mushrooms you like. Add those mushrooms in, and we're just gonna saute for just another minute or 2, just so our mushrooms begin to soften down and release their juices. Now, if while you're sauteing your mushrooms, you notice that things look a little bit dry in your inner pot, you can go ahead and add 1 to 2 teaspoons of additional butter or olive oil. Now that my mushrooms have released their juices, I'm gonna add in 3 cloves of minced garlic. And we're just gonna saute that just till our nose smells it, so we don't wanna burn our garlic. I can really smell that garlic now, so we're gonna hit cancel on our Instant Pot to turn off the saute function. And you know the drill, we must deglaze our inner pot so that we don't have a burn notice. So to do that, you're just gonna add a little bit of broth. Today I have 2 cups of beef broth. You can certainly use vegetable broth or chicken broth, whatever you have on hand. I just really like the earthiness that the beef broth adds to the rice pilaf. So I'm just adding in just a little bit of the broth, just about 1/2 cup, and then I'm scrape all those brown bits. And because we sauteed our onions and mushrooms in butter, there are a little bit more brown bits than normal, so you really wanna work to get them all up. Looks good. I'm gonna add in the rest of my beef broth here. And again, that's 2 cups of total broth. And then to season up our rice pilaf, my mom always added a packet of Lipton dried onion soup mix. But I make my own blend, and you can get that recipe by clicking the link above or in the video description. But this recipe blend leaves out the dairy, the gluten, the preservatives, and it still adds a punch of flavor. It's just made with dried onion flakes, garlic powder, onion powder, parsley, celery seed, things you already have in your pantry. So I'm adding in about 3 tablespoons of this mixture here. And then I'm also going to add in 2 teaspoons of Worcestershire sauce just to amp up that flavor a little bit more. Give that mixture a nice stir just to combine. And now for our rice. Typically, when you make rice pilaf on the stove, you toast up the rice in butter to really help develop the nutty flavor of the rice. I have done that with the Instant Pot and didn't notice much difference in taste, but in the 8-quart model when I tested, it was more prone to cause a burn notice. So in order for you to avoid that, I recommend just adding the rice right now and not worry about toasting it. Today I have 2 cups of white rice that have been rinsed really well. Really important to rinse your rice well, and you can certainly use brown rice if that's what you have on hand. And then we just want to use our spatula just to push the rice down, just so it's fully submerged and will cook evenly. That's it. We're gonna pop our lid on our Instant Pot. Make sure our vent knob is pointed towards sealed, and then to set cook time, you're going to hit manual or pressure cook, and you're gonna cook on high pressure for 3 minutes for white rice and 22 minutes if you're cooking long grain brown rice. Once the cooking time has elapsed, don't do anything. It's really important when you're cooking grains or meat that you let pressure release on its own for at least 10 minutes. Once the pressure has been released, you want to open up your Instant Pot. It smells so good in here. Now all we need to do is fluff up our rice with a fork. You always want to use a fork just to keep those grains intact. Just gonna do that until all the mushrooms and the seasonings are nice and incorporated with the rice, and then dish it out. You can sprinkle it with some fresh parsley for a pop of color if desired, and then I'm gonna dig in. You guys, I love making rice in my Instant Pot. It just turns out perfectly. Every grain is cooked, it's nutty, it's chewy, it's not mushy, and man, the flavors in this rice pilaf are spot on. So, so good. And if you're looking for more ways to cook rice, be sure to check out my next video where I walk you through 3 of my favorites. Until then, happy cooking.